before we lodge the DA with council, I just want to run the plans past the certifier just to make sure that they don't have any comments or concerns. What do you think the key items are that I need to prompt them about or ask them about? Now, I had this question come up from a client earlier this week regarding renovation in Clayfield, and I was like, bow down to thee. Thee are just amazing. Like, that is the best question I could possibly get right now. And the reason why I say that's the best question is second to cost cutting, so budgetary sort of issues and considerations. The certification issues are the second biggest trigger or reason why we go through the modification process at the moment. So yeah, the second biggest reason we're lodging modification applications is because that when people get to the BA or the building approval stage, the certifier is saying, yo guys, you don't comply with this, you've got to change this, and that change then triggers them having to go back through council to modify the previous approved plans. So I am a massive, massive fan of running things past the certifier before we go to DA, just to make sure there's no design changes that you need to account for. So what are the top 3 things that I think you need to, in particular, prompt or ask the certifier about? First and foremost, number 1, setbacks. You want to ask, is the proposal going to trigger any siding variation applications? If so, what are the chances of success? Like, do you think council's actually going to support this outcome here? And in particular, if any of your setbacks are less than 900, or if there's any work that's going to be within 900 of the boundary, 900 millimeters, aka 0.9 meters, then you want to make sure that you comply with the fire rating requirements. Because, and I see this on carports all the time, people get to the building approval stage and all of a sudden the certifier goes, so that carport, it's within 900 of the boundary. Number 1, siding variation is triggered. Number 2, or actually no, siding variation may not be triggered. Let's cut that bit out. What I'm basically saying is you're within 900 of the boundary, and therefore you trigger fire rating requirements. Therefore, you've got to put a blockwork wall down the side of this carport. That is a big change to the streetscape when it comes to TBC, all of that sort of stuff. So that is a very common trigger to go back through council for a modification application. These days, I try to really push the issue with people to say you need to talk to the certifier about this. But even despite sitting there and saying, guys, check with your certifier regarding this specific thing, we do have some situations where they come back and go, yeah, it's fine. I'm like, okay, surprising, but okay. We lodge, and sure enough, they get to the BA and we've got to come back. So yeah, that's thing number 1. You want to check the setbacks. Number 2, you want to check the NCC energy efficiency sort of stuff. So you want to make sure, someone's just walking past, they're looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm just sitting here talking to myself, that's all. But what else will say, you want to check the energy efficiency stuff. So you want to make sure that you understand what rules are going to apply. Are you exempt? Are you not exempt based on timeframes, all of that sort of stuff? And is there any changes that are required to the new work, to the old work, all of this, that sort of stuff? Had a great example of this the other day. We got a renovation approved at the rear of this house / side of this house. The designer came back to me after it was approved and they were like, yo, so the rear addition, it doesn't stack up from an energy efficiency perspective. So the compromise or the workaround we've come up with is we're going to upgrade the glass in the original windows at the front of the house. Does that need a DA? And I'm like, yeah, you're removing those original windows, changing the proportions of the panels or the panes within that. Yeah, that's back through council. Sorry, guys. So yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, if you just got the energy stuff sorted earlier, we wouldn't be in this situation. So yeah, it can require changes to the new work in terms of reducing the scope or the number of windows, moving windows, adding eaves, all of that sort of stuff. Or it can mean you have to upgrade works to old components of the house to try and offset and get the numbers to stack up. So again, it's one thing you want to ask about before we lodge the DA. And the final thing is the NCC accessibility requirements. So you want to make sure, have you got the right hallway widths? Have you got the right clearances from the toilet bowl, like the bowl to the door, all of that sort of stuff? Because those things, sometimes it's just a case of massaging things, stealing from Peter to pay Paul. So you take a little bit of width from a bedroom, stick it in the hallway, etc., etc. Sometimes it's internal stuff that does not impact town planning. But sometimes you can't massage it to make it work. Everything just gets too small, and it means you've got to change things on the outside. You've got to pop things out further, reduce setbacks, all that sort of stuff, which is a town planning consideration. So yeah, just to recap, the 3 things I want you to prioritize talking to your certifier about. Number 1 was, I'm drawing a blank, setbacks. It's been a big day. Setbacks is number 1. Number 2 is the energy efficiency stuff. And number 3 is the accessibility stuff. Because those 3 things often trigger changes to the design externally, which more often than not is a town planning consideration, which more often than not will send you back through town planning for a modification application. So just something to keep in mind before you go through the town planning process. I think that covers off everything I want to talk about today. As I always like to say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got 3. Number 1, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number 2, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number 3, what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.